And we are live.
Hi guys, how are you doing today? So it's great to be here. And sorry, I was a little bit delayed because I was trying to stop my audio on my phone because I'm trying to watch it on my phone as well. It's so good to see everyone here. And thank you so much for joining us. I'm wondering where you are all from. So can you just start communicating with us in the chat and plop in where you're from, and what you're doing here, and also really interested in how you found out about this webinar. Where did you find this information out? Tell us who shared this with you and why you're here. Okay, so my name's Nici and I work at Edpuzzle. I'm an educator and have been living in Asia for a long time, working in schools in Singapore and Beijing and also Bangkok. And now I work as an Edpuzzle international edtech specialist, and I'm here to share with you all the awesome stuff that we have today at Edpuzzle.
Let me quickly say hi as well. We've also prepared a short slide for you just with our contact details, so we'll soon have it on the screen. My name is Bogdan. I am also in the newcomers to the Edpuzzle team, so I'm working with Nici as an edtech specialist for Edpuzzle, focused more on the Europe, Middle East, and Africa region. But of course, we are very international, so we are trying to reach the whole world. I am also a Google for Education certified trainer and an ESTED trainer. And I'm happy to see so many people in the chat already enthusiastically engaging with us. I see quite a few people from Malaysia and from Bangkok. Hello. If anybody else joined us later in the meantime, do let us know where you're joining us from and tell us why you're excited about this webinar. So you have our Twitter handles and our Instagram on the screen, but you'll see them also right next to our names. So if you want to get in touch with us after the webinar, that's one easy way to communicate with us.
Yeah, we are always really excited to chat with you. And one of the roles that we have is building up a community of educators who really love Edpuzzle. And so we really want to reach out to communicate with all of you educators who love it. We want you to reach out to us. If you need any help, we are on Twitter. We're going to be sharing so we've got the Edpuzzle on Twitter. We've got our own Twitter handles, but we also have a bit.ly link that we're going to be sharing throughout this webinar, in which you can communicate with us in many ways. So some of the exciting stuff that we've had going on recently, especially in this area in Asia, in APAC, we have got our awesome ambassadors. So in Malaysia and the Philippines, we have 2 teams working in those regions who are absolutely phenomenal. We've got Mr. Ruben and Mr. Steve, who are in Malaysia, and they are working to build up a community of excited educators, of excited teachers who really want to embrace and get to know Edpuzzle, and then also get certified as a educator as part of our Edpuzzle educator team.
And I just want to quickly mention, Nici, that actually Mr. Ruben is in the chat right now. So if somebody wants to connect with him, there you go.
Yeah. So if you're in Malaysia and you're really interested in upskilling and working out a little bit more and kind of reaching out to Ruben or Steve, please contact them. So can we have, Mariana, can we have the bit.ly link just on the screen just for a second, so we can then just share with you how you can get in touch with them. And then they're in the chat now. So if you go on the chat on YouTube, you'll see that you can talk to them directly and they will definitely get in touch with you.
Okay, yeah, Steve is here as well. So that was my mistake.
Oh, you've got both of them there? Perfect.
That's awesome.
There you go. We also have got, in the Philippines, we've got Sir Alwyn and Sir Franco, and they are also awesome educators doing everything you can possibly think of to do with Edpuzzle, as well as Google. And they are just the funniest guys I think I've ever had the opportunity of webinaring with. And they're brilliant. So if you're in the Philippines and you want to get certified, you want to know more, you want to get involved in a really fun, vibrant community, and you want to win prizes and get loot, get in touch with them. And that is on the bit.ly link. So you can get in touch with both teams in Malaysia and in the Philippines have got Facebook accounts which share, and you can just get in touch with them on the Facebook account and just get part of this brilliant community.
Oh, and we have Mr. Reclusado in the chat as well. So thank you for joining us.
Woo!
Having said that, though, we do have these two communities already that are growing and they are quite developed. But we are trying to set up other Edpuzzle communities around the whole world. So keep that in mind. There might be a new community showing up somewhere close to you. We've seen people from Indonesia. We've seen people from Brunei. So thank you for joining us. And once again, welcome to everybody else that joined us in the meantime. And I think we can dive right into the content, right?
Yep, let's go. Let's do this.
So this is what we'll be covering today. As you know, the webinar is called Welcome Back to School, and for a good reason. Basically, we are trying to show you the things that changed in Edpuzzle, some awesome updates and new features, and things that might be helpful for you. So we don't have any slides. The only slide we had was the one with our names. Why? Because we actually want to show you Edpuzzle in action. So we'll guide you and we'll show you some of the new features. And I'll start with the first part, which is the new integrations. So when you log into Edpuzzle now, you might notice that there are new services you can use for the integration. So now we can actually also sign in with Microsoft. So this is something new. Before, you could sign in with Google or you could create your Edpuzzle account. But once again, new addition, we can now sign in with our Microsoft account. Let me sign in with Google so I can show you what I have in my class already, and we'll be working with that.
Can I just stop you there, Bogdan? Just
Sure.
pause for a sec. And I just want to get the guys in the audience who are listening. If you are part of a Microsoft team or at a Microsoft school, can you just plonk in the chat or put your name in the chat, put your school in the chat? We'd love to get in touch with you and work with you. So if you are in a Microsoft school, you're really interested in looking at these features, you've no idea about them, put your name in the chat for me and I will get in touch with you. I would really like to be able to kind of work with you and see and support you through this next process. So I need a little bit of information, obviously, but just put your school in, put your name in, and let's see how I can contact you. Or you can just get in touch with me on Twitter.
Yeah, and once again, this is something that lots of schools were asking for, simply because lots of schools were using Microsoft as their environment or learning management system. Now, in the next step, that is one of the updates. We've seen that we can now log in with Microsoft. We also noticed that, or you will notice once you get in the Edpuzzle interface, that there were some small changes to the way the things are arranged and where you will find bits and pieces. So we still have the content where you'll have all of the videos you've created. You will still have access to your school, and this is where you will see all the people from your school and the colleagues from your school. You will still see your classes on the left-hand side. Now, this is where there's a new bit, and this is an exciting new update as well, because once again, not everybody is using Google Classroom. There were lots of schools using other services like Canvas or Schoology or even Moodle and Clever and so on and so forth. And as you see, we have some new integrations here as well. And now you can connect the Edpuzzle account with different other learning management systems. We will give you later a preview for the Microsoft Teams integration as well. So we'll show you how that works. As a preview, this was not launched yet. So you can log in with your Microsoft account, but you will not be able to see the classes just yet. But we will still show you a preview of what's coming. So this is an exciting news as well, because some of the schools, as I said, were not necessarily using Google Classroom.
Yeah, and what I love about that is that we literally just in the last week, we've had Clever go live as an integration. And what I love about that is I know that a lot of schools really like that single sign-on, especially for elementary school students. And so we've got Clever. In China, I know that Clever is going really big at the moment in order to get students online and easily managing all of those different logons. So yeah, that's a great ad.
Exactly. And something else that you'll notice is we are still working on preparing more content videos, what's called Edpuzzle Originals, and they will be shared with the community in the future. So rather than just looking for content on YouTube or on videos created by other people, now you will be able to actually start from videos created by the Edpuzzle team as well, which is exciting. But the rest is pretty much similar like what we had before. So you can still use videos from the community. You could still use videos from your school. Remember that it's easy to connect with the teachers from the school and to share content with them. And of course, you can also start from YouTube directly. Now, these are just a couple of things related to the interface. There are small changes here and there as well. So, for example, you'll have now class members rather than students, so these are small changes, but overall the structure is pretty much the same. So this is just a brief overview of what's changed in the interface, but we have even more exciting news related to the extension. So the extension got some fancy new features, and I think Nici will be showing us some of them as well.
Okay, are you ready for me to swap screens? All right, here we go. So one of the things I'm loving about this is that instead of when you're adding in, so say I go to my my class and I want to add content, and before, if you were doing a screencasting, you might have another screencasting tool or another screencasting extension in your Chrome bar, and then you would take a screencast, okay? Now we have this amazing new feature with our Chrome extension. So here we go, I've got my Chrome extension at the top, and what I love about this is imagine that I am creating content for the students in your class. You want to give them a little demonstration. You might want to share a tool with them. You might say, right, this is a new tool we're using, Mathagon, we've never used it before. This is the instruction I want to give you today. And you will create a little video on your computer for them to use directly in Edpuzzle. So I'm going to click my Chrome extension, and then I can either select the tab, this direct tab here, I can select my whole desktop, I can have just the camera, and I'm going to do it so that I'm just going to quickly do it here today, and I'm going to start recording. Hey guys, I want you to complete this task, blah, 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 details, details, details. At the bottom, you can see here, we've got a little toolbar that we can move around. We've also got different things we can do in order to, for the microphone, camera, deleting it straight, pausing it, which is awesome if you wanted to do a little part or a section and then stop and add another section in, and then stop recording. It goes straight into Edpuzzle. Hello, Bogdan. There we go. So in that way, interesting.
This is something that you need to be aware of. So when you use the extension, normally what happens is that the video is recorded and it is just sent directly to your Edpuzzle account. Now, if you're live streaming and you're already showcasing the screen and you're trying to record it as well, that might be a bit of a problem. The good part is that once you finish recording the video, the extension just naturally uploads it to Edpuzzle directly, and then you can start building on your video directly in the Edpuzzle interface. You can do a small edit, so you can clip the beginning, for example, just like we can with all the other videos. You can clip the beginning or the ending or something like that. So especially when you're planning to record the video, you could just think a bit ahead, like, hey, where do I want my video to start, or where do I want to cut it? And then even when you're planning the video, what I was doing, for example, just to know where I have to cut, I would do something like that. So I would know in the recording, okay, this is where I need to cut it and focus on the main thing. So keep in mind that this will replace the need for having other extensions and other services to record your screen. You can do it directly with the Edpuzzle extension.
Yeah, so yesterday when I did it, what happens is it goes straight in, as Bogdan says, you then it absolutely goes straight into as if you're editing in Edpuzzle. You can then cut, edit, and layer with your questions in the same way that you would normally do. And I organized it yesterday so that I did the same exact video with more detail added it in, and then shared it, so you can see that you just have exactly the same information that you would have with a normal video. The best bit is that you just go straight from screencasting on a screen and it just goes straight to editing. Okay. But don't do it live at all.
Yeah.
don't do it live like I've done, because it's not going to work just yet.
Well, there's also something else that, okay, let's say you've recorded the video or you're using a YouTube video, but there's a new feature which was just introduced, which is the audio responses. Do you have any audio responses on the video you've already recorded?
I do. So if you go in, and what we've got here is I've got my questions, and I click in, and I've got 4 answers to grade. So your audio responses will go in as a grading section so that you can listen to them independently. I can then click.
Do I have to use Mathigon, or can I?
There we go.
What other tools can I use to help me with this calculation? Or
Everything is clear, thank you.
Okay, and then we've got our audio responses in there. What I love about this is it allows those students who have EAL needs or language needs and student learning needs that can actually access this content in such a different way. It really makes it so much more accessible as well for elementary students, going right down to working with students in a one-to-one or a small group basis when you're working with students in kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2, who find it really difficult to, or don't have the technology in order to access this in the classroom.
Exactly. And I would say also, if you're teaching a foreign language, for example, and you have to work on the pronunciation, this is one really neat way of allowing the students to record themselves. And then, of course, you can listen to their recording and give them feedback and tell them how they should change their pronunciation and so on and so forth. So this is an exciting new
It is
addition.
really exciting, Bogdan. And imagine you've got a situation in a language classroom where students are where you're sharing specific information. You're wanting the students to respond to question and answers in that language. This is where you really get that added layer of detail and depth to their learning, which I love.
Exactly.
One of the other things I wanted to mention about screencasting that I also think is incredible is imagine that you had a slide deck and you were working with a team, or you were wanting to share your slide deck with, say you're in leadership, or you want to work with your team. You can then screen record your slide deck ahead of time before your participants get into your meeting. It might be for PD purposes, or it might be just for an administrative meeting. And then you go through that slide deck ahead of time, giving information about what you want to happen and what you're going to be discussing within the meeting. And you ask and invite your students or your teachers or anyone in that meeting to give you any feedback prior to the meeting, things that they're thinking about, anything that you want to know before you get into the meeting. And then you have that added layer. So when you get into the room, you're all ready to tackle the things that you need to tackle. You're specific with your time. And I love that about this screencasting feature and Edpuzzle.
I like reading the comments. So I see some people saying audio responses for the win, or I love audio responses. It makes me happy hearing my students explain things. Exactly. That's one awesome way for us to benefit from using the audio responses, simply because it gives students more opportunity to express themselves, and it gives them more choice, because some of the students might choose to leave you a voice note or an audio response. Some other students who prefer typing might also give you a written answer. So this just increases the chances for the students to actually be more engaged and give them more agency as well. Yeah. I'm really happy about that new addition. Well, moving on, or are we okay with the audio responses, Nici?
Oh wait, I just had another bright idea, but we can move on. Oh, do you want us to go through my bright idea? Okay, so one of the other things that I really love about it, so I'm really wanting to nudge elementary educators a little bit more into the Edpuzzle arena, okay? And one of the blocks that we have with elementary educators is that is having that direct knowledge, especially if you're working in an inquiry school. How are we going to access this? Why do we need the students to be answering all of these questions? And what I want you to think about is another way of looking at it, where you can be sharing information like read alouds. So say you have a collation of read alouds online and you have been reading brilliant stories from Epic, or you are looking at stories from Raz Kids, and you want to compile lots of little stories, and you get the students reading those stories with you online and then answering specific information and specific details about the story, so that you're adding that layer of understanding and depth of understanding to their inference and their reading goals. So that's another way that I was thinking that would be really great.
Yeah, and I love how the twist you've put on it as well, empowering students with voice. Exactly, that's the main thing. One of the core focuses for Edpuzzle was just to empower students and give them also more choices in terms of how fast they go to the videos, how many times they rewatch, and now even in the way they can respond. We as teachers can give them that option.
Yeah, and imagine they're reading this material online, and you've got the audio responses there. And the kids can then read back with showing their understanding of the story by actually reading with interest and reading with expression. This is a way that we can do this, especially for those countries like Philippines. I know you're online at the moment. Malaysia, I know you're online at the moment. You guys are doing incredible work, but you're doing really hard work. And I think that Edpuzzle can really help you to deepen those connections with your students and also tune into those unique students' needs using this tool.
And talking about empowering and different ways of using Edpuzzle, we have another awesome update, which is called Student Projects. So I'll show you on my screen how we can actually set them up and how it works in the Edpuzzle interface. But while I do that, we'll also talk and bounce ideas with Nici. And of course, we would love to hear your input as well in the chat. What do you think about the student projects?
Yeah.
So how do they work?
Okay, so sorry, I don't want to interrupt you. I just got really excited. Keep going.
What's the idea behind them talking about empowering? So what we normally do as teachers in Edpuzzle, we create the videos, we choose a video, we add the questions on top, and we share them with the students. But now we flip the tables. So with a student project, we allow our students to start from a video and to add their questions or their notes or their comments or their voice recordings on a video, and then to share that video with us. So this can be used in so many different ways. We could give all of our students one video and ask them to come up with questions or explain their understanding as they go to the video with the voice notes. Or we could give our students a general topic, and then they have to find out the video that suits their needs. And then they can add questions, they can add those interactive elements on the top of the video. So how would this work? Just to quickly demonstrate it. So of course, we would start from the add content. And rather than discovering video content or uploading or recording a video, we would use the student project option. And this is where, of course, you would have to give it a subject and what's the goal and the instructions. Let me keep it simple. I was a science teacher, so let me use a science example, right? So let's say I am teaching about ecosystems, and the goal of the project was to explore various ecosystems. Now, of course, I'm doing this really quickly and just as an example. Normally, I would give better instructions. I would make sure that students understand what the goal is and what they are supposed to be doing. But this is what I will say. Find a video about your favorite ecosystem. Add 4 or 5 questions for your colleagues. Check if they, maybe I'm correcting my spelling as well, to check what they know about that ecosystem. So once again, this is a really quick intro. I would give better instructions or I would go into greater detail, but this is just as a quick example. So I'll save the project now. And this is what happens. Remember that when you create a video, the video shows up in your content. Well, the projects also show in your content, but they will show under the projects. And I forgot to delete the previous ecosystems test I've done earlier, but we'll use this one, right? So this is the one that I've just created. And of course, I can edit it, I can make changes, but I can also now assign it to my classes. Now I am using Google Classroom, and I will show it in with this integration, but it works the same if you use another type of classroom or another learning management system. You just post it on, or you share it with your students. I will assign it. And what happens next? Let me bring a student account. So this is Cleopatra, one of my students. And as you see, this is the assignment that showed up on my student's end. It looks just like a regular assignment. I have the link to the actual Edpuzzle assignment. It will ask me to log in as a student if I'm not already logged in. In this case, I am. I have the instructions, and I can start the project. Now, for now, we can only start from videos that are already there on YouTube. In the future, fingers crossed, students will be able to record videos as well. But for now, we are starting from videos that are already there on YouTube. Also, as you see, you can use the videos, you can search directly from here, or you can also just copy paste the link into the search bar, just like we can as teachers. So let's say I'm really passionate about marshes, and I will use this video as an example. And once again, this is a great point in the chat. This is one easy way to put our learners on the stage. This is where they take control of the learning process. This is where they choose the video that, I mean, first of all, they choose the ecosystem in my example. So I gave them choice there. Then they choose the video that they like and that matches their needs. Then they choose what they want to add or embed on the video. It could be questions, it could be links to other resources. So I really had some students that were really passionate about science, and some of them were always willing to share resources, and they didn't always have the space for that. Whereas now, on top of this video, they could easily add a link to an awesome simulation or an awesome documentary they know of, or an awesome site where their colleagues could find out more information, right? And from here on, it's the same like we do as teachers. We have the video. The only thing that's different, as you've noticed, is that students cannot cut the video. So they have the video as it is. And in the first step, it appears that they cannot cut it. But once you actually select the video, and that's a small difference in the interface, you actually have to select the video first, and only then you will have the same editing interface that we have as a teacher as well. And here we can cut it if we want to. We can do the exact same things like we've done as teachers. So I can remove that bit of the video and carry on. Voiceover, because it's a YouTube video, we will not have voiceover. Voiceover works only for our own videos. And then in the questions, we have the same options like we have as teachers. And from here on, same story. Let me add an open-ended question, and I'll show you quickly how we can allow for audio responses as well. So it's a simple button switch. So I will add the question here. What do you know? Oh, sorry, let me type it correctly. As a starting point. And then my colleagues will be able to actually answer this before they start watching the video, for example. When I'm done as a student, finish, and that's it. I have my video, I have my elements embedded on it, and then I can decide if I want to turn it in or if I want to make more edits. You wanted to say something, Nici?
I do. You know that. I always want to say something. But what I love about this is that there are so many different layers that you can use, or so many different ways that you can use these student projects, especially when you're checking for understanding. So you can get the students to really say, we're looking at the goal is very specific. We can get the students to really create their own questions to show an understanding of not only content and knowledge, but also to look at those research skills, look at those ATLs, look at those questionings. How do we get the students to tune in to their own thinking skills, and how can we use student projects in order to help us do that? So that's why I think that student projects is phenomenal, especially when we start looking at creation.
Exactly. And I mean, of course, I gave an example for science, but that was simply because I was a science teacher. You can use this for any subject. Imagine showing a video about a historical event.
Yeah.
And then in various points during the video, you ask students, okay, don't add questions, but add notes on the video and tell me what your opinion is about that part of the whatever topic you're studying, right? So it doesn't necessarily have to be questions. It can also be notes. And by you checking those notes, you see how much students understood from the video or how much they can contribute and expand and add their own views into the conversation. So there are lots of different options here.
So many ways. And also from that, imagine that you've got students tuning in to adding notes. And it might be that they're working in a collaborative group. They're online still. So they're working on a Google Doc or they're working on a document in some way. They can then add those documentations to with a link. So anything they've got a link on, they add it in as a question. They add it in as a note and they have their group working together somewhere else. And then you put it in as another layer. I think that this really elevates and really shows so much more depth.
Exactly. And yeah, I like the depth. I like the options for the students because they can take control and we can give them more agency as educators.
Yeah.
What do you think about the projects? I already saw some exciting comments in the chat, but let us know if you have any ideas of how you could actually use them with your students. And just a reminder, the projects are already there. You can use them. They were launched. There will be more features added to them in the future, but you can already start using them and they work great. So
Joseph, Gabriel, you have said student projects allow learners to be at the forefront of their learning. This is especially awesome. I mean, this totally elevates the level of collaboration and engagement, which I'm totally I think that's awesome. Yeah, collaboration and engagement. They are the agency side, which you just talked about, Bogdan, is where they are leading the way in their learning. And this is what is brilliant about student projects.
Yeah, and there are so many options here as well. Like, think about it in this way. Let's say I'm a teacher, I give all of my students the same video and we have like a mini competition. And we say the top 3 videos with the best questions or the best content are shared with the whole classroom or with the whole school or something like that. So there are many ways in which you can tweak things. Of course, you could also think about group projects and have small groups working on a video, and then you have them collaborate on the questions and on the notes and on the resources. So awesome update. And as you said, from the teacher viewpoint, it really holds a lot of potential. It depends on us and our creativity on how we actually want to use it. Now, we've planted that seed in your minds, I hope. So we do hope that you will get the student projects and you'll use them and you'll try them out with your students. Of course, if you want, you can just give it a go on your own just to make sure that everything works and you know how to set up the project and then later share it with your students.
Yeah,
now,
we're also, can I just mention one thing there? We're also really wanting to find out stories from the classroom. So if you have a great story or you are doing something in your classroom with your students online or face-to-face, please get in touch with me if you've had that moment of boom. You know, that moment where you're just so excited about what's happening, you're using the tool, we want to know. So get in contact with us because we'd love to know these stories and be able to sort of share and showcase the stuff that you guys are doing.
Exactly. So that would be one easy way for you to also maybe inspire other educators from the whole world. So do get in touch with us. Now, besides this, we also want to give you a preview of what's coming in terms of Microsoft Teams. So remember, we said at the beginning that, yes, we now have the login. We can log in with the Microsoft accounts, but we want to give you a preview of what's coming for the Microsoft Teams integration. Once again, this was not launched yet. We are still working on it, but it should be coming in the near future. It works in a very similar way. So I'm starting from the same process. So I could start with one video. So let me search for, let's say, ecosystems. Let's use the same example, the ecosystems. And this is the one that's already created in the community. Of course, I can also search on YouTube and let me use this video. I will edit it so I can actually add my questions. So nothing changed in the Edpuzzle interface so far. I can just go and add some questions. I'll leave a voice note. Hey kids, this is a video about ecosystems and a short intro. We'll use this to start the next unit, ecosystems. I left a voice note. I can save it. I will not carry on with other notes or questions because the process is the same. We should be familiar with this. I'll finish editing my video. And then, of course, the same story like before, I can now assign it to a class. And when I assign the video, you'll see that I do have the Microsoft Teams class here. I can choose it and I can assign it directly from here. Now, one thing that's important and that's different from some of the other learning management system integrations. For Teams, you do need to add the due date because that's something that is required in Teams. So I could just say, okay, let me put this on next Wednesday. I'll save it. And then the options are still the same. I could turn on closed captions. I could post on Microsoft Teams directly. And when I assign this, it will post it directly to Microsoft Teams. And once again, it will show up in my Teams interface as well. So as I said, this is just a preview. So keep in mind that it's not released yet, but it is coming in the near future. So you'll notice that I already have the assignment here in my Teams. I can go and click on View Assignment, and I'll see the status for my students. I could give feedback, I will grade, and so on and so forth. So this is coming in the near future. So just so you're aware of this, if you're a Microsoft school or if you're using Microsoft, it's coming. So it should be very, very helpful for you as well. So these were some of the updates that we wanted to showcase. And of course, we are more than happy to hear your input. What do you think about these updates? And more than that, what are your questions? Do you have any questions? We'll have a short Q&A session. So we'll be happy to answer the questions we receive if we can. If not, we'll direct you to the support team for especially if there's a very technical question. And we will also want to say thank you for joining the webinar. And we'll share a link soon with a site where you can also order some swag because you've attended the webinar. But in the meantime, we'd be happy to see if you have questions. So do let us know in the chat if you have any questions, and we'll try to answer them.
Okay, so one of the things that I want to share you about the Edpuzzle team, which I think is awesome. Edpuzzle, it was created by educators. So it's a a lot of the people who work at Edpuzzle are educators themselves. We are incredibly passionate about education. We're incredibly passionate about teaching and learning and what goes on in your classroom. And these updates that we've had now have really been a long time coming, and there's a lot of hard work that's gone into them. And yes, there are things that are still coming, okay? So we are constantly evolving, constantly having conversations about what is next and what's going to be the next step. So I am really excited about this. There are things that I can see with student projects. Like there was a great question. Is it possible, Bogdan, for groups to complete their projects and then exchange and review each other's work? And that came from Felicia. I hope I got your name right. I'm so sorry if I didn't.
So currently that's not that's not possible. But why am I saying currently? Your input is really important. So what we are trying to do is to get as much input from the teacher side as possible, and to share it with our colleagues in the product team. So hopefully this is something that will be added, will possibly be added. So keep that input coming, keep that feedback coming. Let us know what your needs are. Let us know what would help you.
What I like about this, though, imagine you can have a quick workaround with this. It's the way that you layer that the collaboration, how you organize the collaboration. So a workaround would be that the students are working on a student doc together, a Google Doc. You have the team name in the Google Doc title, and that link then gets put into the beginning of the student project. It may be that in that Google Doc, you have all the questions are collaborated together. and it may be that the content is organized together, and then you have tasks for students within that group, and it may be that one task is assigned to a particular student in order to create the actual project online. Or it may be that we go in and do it as an open class, and I think that that could be another way of doing it.
Yeah, so that's one great approach as well. So if there's something that doesn't work yet, or it doesn't work as you would want it, you can always find a workaround. And that's a great suggestion for group work. Just have students put their questions somewhere else and then only come to Edpuzzle and actually place them on top of the video, because that also ensures a smoother communication between them.
Yeah.
And for the rubrics, thank you for that. For the rubrics, that depends also on the learning management system. So many LMSs have their own rubric system embedded in the system. So for example, if I'm using Google Classroom, there will be rubrics attached to the Google Classroom assignments. So this is also something that we can forward to the product team to see if there's any way to synchronize them. So we don't have a clear answer to that. We don't know if it's coming or not. But as I said, it's valuable input that we can take to the team, and we'll see if they can make it happen.
What I like about rubrics, though, if you were to have a rubric, to have an Edpuzzle video that goes in as a with questions in that shows the level that you could show the different stages in your rubric. So you could have a different video for each stage in your rubric to show that those levels of mastery, so that they have a really visual understanding of what is expected.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, how are we doing? Any more questions? I'm just checking. Okay, well, you guys have been so good online. Thank you so much for all the feedback. It really makes it so much easier for us to have an audience to communicate with. And I'm sure you understand exactly what that's like when you're working online so much. You know that when people have their screens switched off and they're not engaging with you, it's literally like talking to yourself in a cupboard. So it's really lovely to have that feedback from you today, and I've really enjoyed it. If you want to get in touch with us, I've said this many, many times. I'm going to say it one more time. You guys get in touch with us. We are so open to have that communication face-to-face, chatting online. We have time for it. We want your stories. We really want to engage with you in a different way. We want to build up a community where you feel that you have us and you have a team on a support system around you. So yeah, enjoy the new updates. Bogdan, what from you?
Just to answer the question, does the recording tool have a time limitation? Well, you're limited by the maximum size of the file, but that's quite difficult to reach. So I doubt anybody will spend 2 hours in front of the webcam recording a video with the extension. So you don't have to worry about that. And remember that on Edpuzzle, even on the free accounts, you don't have actually limitations on how big the videos are. You have limitations on the maximum number of videos that you have on Edpuzzle. So you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, and remember, less is more. You know, when we're talking about elementary students, we're talking about short, snippy videos. If you've got something long in content, break it down into 2 or 3 or 4 different videos. Do not do anything more than sort of 4 to 5 minutes for an elementary student. You're looking at short, snappy content. High school, yes, maybe we're looking at something at 10 minutes, but don't go over. You really need those students engaging in that content.
Yeah, and of course, if you want to have a longer video, you could break it down, as you said, in multiple smaller segments, and it's easy to do that with the cut option. So that's one easy way of sorting that out. Awesome. So we've mentioned earlier that you will have the chance to get some swag as a form of thank you for being with us, and we'll share a link with you in the chat. And actually, it's more than swag. So what you'll get is a link that will take you to this website. On the website, you will see that we've tried to put things together for you to make your life as easy as possible. So you'll soon see it on my screen, on the screen as well. And here there are several useful links for you. And the first one will be the Get Your Edpuzzle swag link. So Mariano, if you could share my screen quickly, we'll give everybody a quick quick overview of the website. And this is where we've tried to put, as I said, lots of useful links together for you. So we'll have the link to the Edpuzzle swag. You'll have the link to our certifications where you can actually get certified. We have lots of different certifications online. The level 1, level 2, integrations with classroom and other learning management systems. We'll also, you can look at Edpuzzle Coach and Flipped Learning and many other certifications. And also we've put a link to the Edpuzzle extension. So these are a couple of things. Then, because we've mentioned all the social media channels, we've put the links for our Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube channels, both in English and in Spanish. If there are Spanish speakers in the audience, they will find them there. And we've also shared the links to the Facebook, the local communities. So this is the site that you'll reach if you open the link in the chat. You have the Edpuzzle swag, and as I said, fill in the form, and we'll send you the Edpuzzle stickers and the swag. You have the link to the certifications, and this is where you'll see all the certifications you can go through at your own pace online. They are awesome. You can learn lots of things about Edpuzzle, but not only that, you can also look at different pedagogical strategies and approaches, and so on and so forth. You can get the Edpuzzle extension. This is the link to the Chrome Web Store, so it's easy for you to find it. And then we have, as I said, the social media links for Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, and then the local Edpuzzle communities. So if you're in the Philippines or in Malaysia, or, well, now I don't think there's anybody from Poland and Italy in this group. They will be joining us for the next webinar. Do check out the local communities, because you'll see that there are lots of awesome educators sharing awesome things they do with Edpuzzle and with their students. So do connect with them.
Yeah, we're also looking and searching for ambassadors in lots and lots of different regions. We were quite specific on our ambassadors and what they do and how they support us. But we are looking for awesome educators who can really have a wide reach of, to education in that area that they are in. So on my radar at the moment, I know Singapore and Malaysia. Singapore is a big area for me. I'm looking for people in Japan and South Korea. So if you know of any awesome educators in those areas, please get in touch. Okay.
And remember to order the swag. If you want to, you have the link in the chat. You can always come back also and watch the replay if you want to watch or rewatch some of the details that we've shown you. Umut, let's talk about it. Let's get in touch. Of course, we are trying to find people in Turkey as well and all over the place. So definitely we'd be happy to have educators showcasing the use of Edpuzzle as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Having said that, I don't know if you have any other questions.
I'm looking now.
We are really happy to have had the chance to show you some of the updates that came to Edpuzzle recently, and also to give you a preview of what's to come. Personally, I don't know about you, Nici, but I'm always so excited to work with educators who are really enthusiastic about different ways of supporting their students. So seeing all the comments and all the great ideas, that's just awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So thank you so much, everybody. Stay in touch. Connect with us on the social media channels we've shown you. Get your swag and do awesome things with Edpuzzle. We'd be happy to see what's coming out of your work.
Okay. Yeah, a big shout out to Sammy, who's in the audience. I know he's watching. Thank you for turning up. And okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Olga.
Take care.
See you in the next one.